Sometimes, the difference between a cold case and a conviction comes down to pure, unimaginable luck. Today, we are looking at 5 terrifying true crime cases that were cracked wide open not by brilliant detective work, but by unbelievable, million-to-one coincidences that ultimately brought some of the worst criminals in history to justice. Number 5. The parking ticket that caught the son of Sam. In the summer of 1977, New York City was completely paralyzed by fear. A serial killer identifying himself as the son of Sam had been terrorizing the city for over a year, randomly shooting young couples in parked cars. The police were desperate, following thousands of dead-end leads. But the massive manhunt was finally resolved by the most mundane of infractions. On the night of his final murder, a local resident noticed a suspicious man tearing up a parking ticket near the crime scene. She reported this detail to the police, who checked the ticketing records for that specific street on that specific night. They found a ticket issued to a yellow Ford Galaxy registered to David Berkowitz. When detectives arrived at his apartment building in Yonkers, they saw a rifle in the back seat of his car. A simple $35 parking ticket was the unbelievable thread that unraveled the reign of terror of one of America's most notorious serial killers. Number 4. The floppy disk that exposed the BTK killer. Dennis Rader, known as the BTK Strangler, murdered 10 people in Wichita, Kansas, between 1974 and 1991. For decades, he evaded capture, sending taunting letters to the police and media before abruptly going silent. In 2004, craving attention, he resumed his communications. In a stunning display of technological ignorance, Rader actually mailed the police to ask if a floppy disk could be traced back to him. The police, seizing the incredible opportunity, publicly replied in a newspaper ad, assuring him that floppy disks were completely untraceable. Believing the police, Rader sent his next taunting message on a purple 1.44 megabyte floppy disk. Digital forensics experts immediately analyzed the disk and found hidden metadata containing the words Christ Lutheran Church and the name Dennis. A quick internet search led them directly to Dennis Rader, the president of the church council. His sheer technological incompetence, mixed with blinding arrogance, finally ended his 30-year evasion of the law. Number 3. The traffic stop that ended Ted Bundy's rampage. Ted Bundy was one of the most prolific and terrifying serial killers in American history, responsible for the murders of at least 30 young women across several states. Despite massive FBI manhunts, Bundy managed to repeatedly slip through their fingers, even escaping from police custody twice. His final, horrific reign of terror in Florida came to an end in 1978. Completely by chance. A Pensacola police officer, David Lee, noticed a stolen Volkswagen Beetle driving slowly in the early hours of the morning. Unaware that he was pulling over the most wanted man in America, Officer Lee initiated a routine traffic stop. Bundy attempted to flee on foot and a violent struggle ensued, but Lee eventually subdued and arrested him. It wasn't until hours later that authorities realized the man they had in custody for a stolen vehicle was the infamous Ted Bundy, proving that even the most cunning killers can be undone by a simple, routine patrol. Number 2. The missing license plate that caught the Oklahoma City bomber. On April 19, 1995, a massive truck bomb detonated outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, killing 168 people in the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. The nation was reeling, and a massive federal investigation was immediately launched. However, the prime suspect, Timothy McVeigh, was actually apprehended just 90 minutes after the bombing, entirely by coincidence. An Oklahoma Highway Patrol trooper pulled McVeigh over on Interstate 35 simply because his yellow Mercury Marquis was missing its rear license plate. During the stop, the trooper noticed McVeigh was carrying a concealed weapon and arrested him on a routine firearms charge. As the FBI scrambled to identify the bomber using vehicle identification numbers from the destroyed truck, they realized their primary suspect was already sitting in a county jail cell, completely unaware that a missing license plate had just ended his freedom. Number 1. The genealogy website that unmasked the Golden State Killer.
For over 40 years, the Golden State Killer, also known as the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker, was a phantom.
He committed at least 13 murders and over 50 rapes across California in the 1970s and 80s before vanishing completely. The police had his DNA, but no match existed in any criminal database. The case seemed permanently cold. Then, in 2018, investigators tried a revolutionary new tactic. They uploaded the killer's DNA profile to a public, open-source genealogy website called GEDmatch, typically used by people researching their family trees. In an astonishing stroke of luck, the DNA matched with distant relatives who had voluntarily submitted their own DNA for ancestry research. By meticulously building out family trees from these distant cousins, investigators narrowed the suspect pool down to one man, Joseph James DeAngelo.